here. We're going to continue to dive into this NFL draft as we are on the eve of the 2026 NFL draft, the first round coming your way tomorrow. We've got all the coverage here and taking a look at Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest big board rankings. Reminder, this is not a mock draft or prediction of where players will be drafted tomorrow night, but rather Mel's personal rankings focusing on talent. Jeremiah Love, being the second overall player, is most notable compared to the mocks. Dan took a deeper dive into the number one player, Fernando Mendoza, why teams are so high on him.
Fernando Mendoza's 41 touchdown passes were the most in the FBS last season, and the Heisman Trophy winner is lethal when he diagnoses defenses. Mendoza is very accurate on the goal ball, and he was top 5 in the FBS in touchdowns and completion percentage when throwing the football at least 20 yards downfield last season. His 11 touchdowns on those throws were more than twice as many as he had in his 2 seasons at Cal. Mendoza is also elite throwing the back shoulder and was at his best in the biggest games. He completed all but one of his back shoulder throws in the Big Ten championship game and the college football playoff, finishing the season with the second most completions on that specific route. Mendoza is as tough as nails, and that shows up on the critical down and distances. He had the most touchdown passes in the FBS on 3rd and long, averaging more than 10 yards per dropback on those plays. If Mendoza can evolve and operate Clint Kubiak's pro-style system like he did his college system, the Raiders are going to have their guy at quarterback.
Fernando Mendoza deserves a ton of credit, right? He should not be ignored as the presumed number one overall pick, so we're going to continue to give him credit, but also focus our attention on the second-rated quarterback in this class for most people, which is Ty Simpson. And we start with Peter Schrager. We welcome him and Adam Schefter back in here. And Schrags, your mock has a trade that allows Ty Simpson to be drafted in the first round. Tell us more.
I was really struggling finding a team for Ty Simpson. There is no team that is screaming, hey, we love Ty Simpson. However, the Arizona Cardinals obviously have a need, and if there is a team, they would be the ones that I would imagine would move up to come get him in the end of the first round. Truth of the matter is this, Ty Simpson turned down mega money to be an NIL player and go somewhere else in the transfer portal to go enter the pros. Ty Simpson could be sitting at his house right now. He's not. He's here in Pittsburgh with the expectation that he's going to go first round and be sitting in that green room and hearing his name called. I put him 32nd to the Cardinals with the Seahawks trading back to for the 5th-year option and also to get in front of the Jets. But Laura and Adam, I could tell you, that comes with no certainty. This is me trying to fit a piece in a puzzle and give Ty Simpson a home. I still, to this day, and I didn't in my first draft, have a team that's waving to me saying, we love Simpson.
And there's no obvious fit right now, in part because the Los Angeles Rams traded pick number 29 to the Kansas City Chiefs for Trent McDuffie. Had the Rams stayed at 29, Ty Simpson would have been square in the conversation, and it's fair to say his odds of going in the first round would have been higher than they are right now. Now it almost feels like it's a crapshoot. It might happen, it might not happen, but most people seem to think the two teams with the best chance of getting him would be the Arizona Cardinals, who have the second pick in the second round, and the New York Jets, who have the first pick in the second round. Now maybe Arizona does trade up to a team like Seattle. The Seahawks are looking to get out of the back end of the first round. There are a lot of teams in the 20s looking to move back and accumulate more draft picks. We'll see how it shakes out Thursday night. Ty Simpson as a 1 right now remains firmly up in the air.
Yeah, I love that you guys brought it up. He's here. He wanted to be here. He feels like he deserves to be a first-round pick, and we'll watch all of that unfold on our variety of broadcasts on ESPN, ABC, NFL Network as well. And Dan, your praise of Ty Simpson, well documented. Why do you believe now, here just hours before we find out what's going to happen, that he is worthy of being a first-round pick?
Well, Alabama stunk last year, first of all. And so I think that's something that's been lost in the conversation is everyone probably narrates or believes that, well, he was the quarterback at Alabama, couldn't run the football. They couldn't protect the quarterback. They had drops that would just blow your mind. And so I watch a quarterback operate without a lot of help around him. And I understand that the final 5 games were okay. The first 9 or 10 games are absolutely off the charts. And so when I looked at Ty Simpson and I watched his tape and I watched how bad that offensive line was and how poor they were running the football and how bad the skill group was around them, I sit there and I said, there is no doubt. Look at this. We're talking about an offensive line that was 110th in the country in protection. They ran the ball about as bad as you could in college football. Alabama and the receivers were 32 drops, which was 130th in the country. Maybe I'll be wrong tomorrow night, which I would be bummed about. I just believe those first 10 games before the injury are so good. It's easy for me to see him as a first rounder.
Wait, Dan would be bummed about being wrong, Mina?
shocking.
Oh, my goodness.
You're usually so okay with me.
Go ahead.
I'm stacking things in anger.
There's a lot to like in those first half of the season with him. I mean, I see a quarterback who has an NFL arm talent. I see a quarterback who's very good at picking apart zone defenses in a way that does translate to the pros. I think with me, the hesitation is just that he would be such an outlier in a number of areas. One is the inexperience, not a lot of starts. The track record is very small. But the other, and this is really what jumped out to me watching on tape, is just the frame. He is undersized, and when you look at the history of quarterbacks under 6'1", 250 pounds who have started an entire season, it is a very short list. I think we have it here. I mean, Russell Wilson, who came into the league and put on weight. Kyler Murray,
Played a
special
ton of college
athlete,
football.
played a lot of college football. Okay, here we go. So Seneca Wallace, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Bryce Young. That's it. If you expand it to over that, you start bringing in Caleb Williams, who's stouter. Brock Purdy, he's heavier as well. It is a very small group. And Dan, you know this, it is harder to play the position when you are that small. And not just from a vision standpoint, and I do think that shows up sometime in the pressure when he gets a little bit anxious in muddied pockets, but the frame, the durability is a concern of mine watching him.
The durability thing I could have a conversation with. I don't think the size, I watch him throw over the middle of the field like an absolute savage. So he sees it. The durability thing, and people are, Joe gets hurt, Lamar got hurt, Patrick got hurt, Josh got hurt.
Everybody gets hurt, but there's a reason why we don't see a lot of quarterbacks that size in the NFL. And the thing about the vision, one more thing about that just really quickly, he does throw over the middle. He's going to have to play super fast.
He does.
In a way that, like Brock Purdy learned how to do in the NFL, because I do see when the pocket gets muddy, that's where the frame starts to show up, and he gets a little bit, that's where the numbers start to fall off in the performance.
Swag, there's no denying the sample size, though, that Mina is illustrating here. There's just not that many quarterbacks at that size that have done it well.
Yeah,
at this
look,
level.
if this was the draft before the new format and the new pay scale, Ty Simpson wouldn't be going first round. But you could take a shot on a guy late in the 20s now because, one, you're not hamstrung by what you have to pay him, and two, once you get him, you can develop him. And he needs to be developed. Now, all of them does, but he needs to be developed. He needs time on task. You get Leary. We were having this conversation before the show. It's just the same as you and Mina just did and I'm doing. In these draft rooms, how much time do you spend trying to convince yourself? Because at some point, you got to look at the board and say—
I don't think you're convincing yourself. I think you're convincing yourself maybe on the starts and maybe the size, but you take Baker Mayfield.
But this is where I was going with that, Dan. You still got other names that's going to be on that board.
Sure.
And as a group,
player, right.
You got to ask yourself, are we willing to take time for a guy that's probably not going to play, as opposed to somebody that can come in and help us right away, and maybe we better suited in the future? Yeah.
I know a lot of people have him mocked to the Cardinals, and I get it, right? But doesn't it just feel like he needs to go to a team that already is
somebody
set up
that's
really
already
well,
established,
has a quarterback, can spend
100%.
some time learning, and then eventually maybe develop and take it over. All right, another guy that may go to the Cardinals, that's Jeremiah Love, and I'm talking at number 3 overall. He is joining us next on the show. We'll spend some time with the Notre Dame running back and find out how he's feeling ahead of draft night.
Look at him. He looked like he's ready to run
He's
for
ready to go.
1500.
He's also in his hotel room joining us in just moments. You only get this access on NFL Live. We'll be right back.